The old way of goal setting doesn't work anymore. And I'm going to explain to you why. I'm going to tell you exactly what to do so that you can set new goals in a new way and actually achieve them this year and maintain them and grow them continually. So in 2015, I was working as a personal trainer and I took on this client that was an NLP coach, which stands for neuro-linguistic programming. And I went and met him at a coffee shop and we had a conversation around his goals and what he wants to achieve and, you know, helping him out with his fitness and his health. And I took him on as a client and he started to teach me more about the mind. He started teaching me more about how to achieve goals and how to set goals. And he asked me this question. We sat down after one of our training sessions. He said, Russ, how do you usually set goals? I said, well, how I usually set goals is I write down on a piece of paper what I want to achieve. So I give it a time frame. So let's just say 90 days from now, I want to lose 5 kgs of weight. And 90 days from now, I want to add 5k to my income. And 90 days from now, I want to be able to save X amount of money. And he says, okay, then what do you do from there? I said, well, I then reverse engineer with all the actions that I need to do. So let's just say, for example, is to lose the weight. I then write down, well, I need to hit the gym 3 times a week. I need to do these type of workouts. I need to hit these type of calories. I need to hit these amount of sessions, this amount of steps, go for X amount of runs and so on and so forth. And he says, is that the way you've always set goals? I said, yeah. And he said, like, how often do you achieve them within the time frame? And I said, well, not very often. And he said, I want to tell you why. And he said, it comes down to 2 things. It comes down to your state, which is your mindset, and it comes down to your happiness. Because along that timeline, along that 90-day journey, you're going to face obstacles and challenges. Because obstacles and challenges aren't in your way. Obstacles and challenges are on their way. And that means there's always going to be something, right? And we can't predict it and we can't plan for it. There's always going to be something. Your kids could be sick, you could fall ill, there could be an event, a family member, whatever it may be, a flat tire. These things happen. And he says, and when this happens, it alters your state. Because your state is temporary. Like the state that you're in right now, the feelings and emotions you have right now watching this video, you didn't have 5 minutes ago, which means your state is forever changing unless you can control it, unless you can master your mind, unless you can have self-mastery. And he said, and also what dictates your state is your progress and also looking at other people's progress as well, which then dictates your happiness. And your happiness can be reframed as just a measurement. So your happiness right now could be a measurement against what you see in the mirror, your attractiveness. Your happiness right now could be, you know, a reflection of what you see on your bank statements and the zeros in your Stripe account or whatever it may be. And the even worse one, which is more destructive, which affects your state and happiness a lot, is measuring your happiness compared to other people. And he said, and when this happens, you fall off the wagon. And when this happens, you miss a session, you miss a workout, you overeat, you skip a day, you have a cheat day. So then when you've set yourself that goal of losing 5 kgs in 90 days, you may have only lost 3 or 3.5. So what happens is that you've set this expectation and then you feel frustrated. And then you look at the past and you're like, oh God, I wish I did this. I wish I didn't let that get the best of me, and so on and so forth. And then what happens is you say, look, I'm going to give it another go. But when you give it another go and set that goal again for the next 30, 60 or 90 days, you don't put in as much effort as you did before because you're quite demoralized mentally and emotionally from it. And if this keeps happening again and again and again, you go around in this cycle of letting challenge and letting obstacles and letting curveballs and the events that are on their way to you, allowing them to get in the way of you achieving your goals, you're going to get to the point where you're either going to pivot, change your goals, or quit or just give up. And this may resonate with you because I did this many times before. So I said to my client, I said, so what do I do instead then? He said, you need to do it in reverse. And this is what I recommend you do. So instead of setting the goal in a time frame of I want to earn more money, have more happiness, more love, or whatever it may be, I want you to start with the section. Instead of writing down your goals, I want you to write these 2 words, which is I am. Because those 2 words are the most powerful words you will ever say in your life. And if you can change your I ams, you can change your actions. And if you can change your actions, you can change your life. And if you make them your I ams and you stick to them daily and they become a part of you and they become a part of your values and your personality, your personal reality and your identity, then you will never ever go back to the old you. You will never create a lack of consistency. You will stay disciplined, you will stay focused, and you'll stay on point because it just becomes a part of you. A bit like brushing your teeth every day or having a shower before bed. It will become habitual, become part of your character, become part of your identity. So he asked me to then think about the people that have what I already want. So I picked a person for income, I picked a person for body, and I picked a person for relationships. And he said, I want you to focus on those 3 people, and I want you to write down 3 traits or characteristics that they have. So when it came to the body, I was like, this person's disciplined, this person's focused, and this person is healthy, right? And then when it came to the money, I had the 3 traits. And when it came to the relationships, I put the 3 traits down. And then he said to me, when have you displayed those traits in the past? And for a while, I struggled with it. But he said, Russ, you cannot see or perceive a trait or a characteristic in someone that you don't have from within. You can't just make it up. Because what we see and perceive, what our assumptions around the world, what we give meaning to, is just based on our past experiences for our 5 senses. So we've seen it, we've displayed it, we've done it ourselves. And I said to him, so what are you getting at? He said, well, look, most people are waiting for someone to hand them the sword and shield each day to go into battle to improve their life, when you can just pick it up yourself, because you already have these traits within you. You already have these characteristics. You've already displayed them in the past. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to see or perceive them in someone else. So instead of writing out all these lists of actions and things to do and reverse engineering the process, I started with the I am. I started with the being. I started with the becoming. Rather than the wanting and the needing and putting it in the future, I started acting from the event of me already having it, rather than working the steps towards it. And this is what we call living as if the wish is already fulfilled. And this is how you can create your future success, by just 1% each day from today, rather than putting it on a pedestal and saying it's so far out of reach and not being able to do it. So then I started to write a list down of my I ams. So I am loving, I am successful, I am impactful, I am valuable, I am caring, I am compassionate, I am healthy, I am consistent, I am focused, I am disciplined. And then I picked out the 3 out of all of those that were going to move the needle in my life where I wanted it to move the most. And then what I had then put next to each of those identity traits is an action, just one action I can do each day. So for health, it was just like eat clean, all right? So eating just like whole foods. So for being successful, it was showing up on social media each day. And then when it was for loving, it was just telling someone I love them or I'm grateful for them every single day. And I set that as a minimum standard. And then as each week went by, I added in more tasks, I added in more habits, I added in more traits, I added more I ams and the actions to follow. And what this did, and I hope you'll follow me with this, is that instead of putting it into the horizon, because if you put something in the horizon, you're never going to reach it, right? It just keeps moving away and away. I started to become that person. I started to change my character. I started to change my self-image. I started to change my assumptions about myself and change my personality, which in return changed my personal reality. And then I was not trying to bend reality or bend the matrix to my will or warp it and change it. I just became fully aligned internally, like gut, head and heart, with the future I wanted to create. And that's the key to it, is being in alignment and taking the aligned actions every single day and just starting with that 1%. Looking towards the future you, looking towards others that already have it, and then modeling their traits and habits and characteristics within you that you already have, and doing them day by day, step by step, demanding 1% more of yourself. And if you can do that for 100 days straight, then you will upgrade yourself from the 1.0 version you are right now to the 2.0. And don't get me wrong, it's going to be hard. It's going to take discipline, it's going to take focus, but you are now a disciplined and focused person, right? You're living from the future, you're living from that version of you. Because believing in your current self isn't going to get you there. Because your current self is getting you the results that you see right now. You have to believe in the future you. You have to believe in the future version. You have to believe in that version of those habits, of those traits, of those characteristics, the way you carry yourself, the way you show up. And just recreate that by 1% a day. Do that for 100 days, you'll turn yourself into the 2.0 version. But don't get me wrong, that 1.0 version is going to kick and scream and fight that 2.0 version every single day. Because it all goes back to the animal brain, survival mode, right? Your body just wants to stay the same or slowly get worse over time, right? It's all to do with homeostasis. And that 1% version of you, the 1.0 version, is going to keep popping up. It's going to be that little devil on your shoulder saying, have that extra cake, have that cookie, don't turn up to that workout, don't send that extra email, don't ask that difficult question with a client, whatever it may be. But you have to keep focusing on the 2.0. You have to keep asking yourself, what would the future me do? What would I do tomorrow if I was 1% better? What would I do tomorrow if I demanded 1% more, if I showed up? and you've got to keep working and working on that. So then that 2.0 version is the only version of you that exists, and then you can start working on the 3.0, right? That's where all the fun begins. So I hope this has been valuable, guys. I hope this has given you some insights. I'd love to hear what your takeaways are in the comments, and give me a like and a subscribe if this was valuable, and I'll see you in the next video.